Hey there, welcome to my review of game 4 of the Real BAC Championship in June. It was the first game of day 2, not quite as good as day 1, where I went 2-1. In fact, much worse, but it was all right. Day 1, as a quick recap, we won our first game by trapping a queen. Game 2, we got really confident because we were feeling really good because we beat a very high level player and lost. And then game 3, we learned from our mistakes in game 2, which was we didn't trade our queen when we were ahead. So game 3, we traded our queen when we were ahead and we won the game. So now we're in game 4, first game of the day against an opponent approximately my age, who had been playing chess for a long time. His rating is 1137. We had a really good conversation. He was a really cool guy, and I was looking forward to getting to the game. So it was an interesting game, as you'll see. I'm rated 874, as you know if you watch the other ones, and you can see it on the screen too. But we played a very even game. But it didn't feel that way. So I started e4, and he started with a Caro-Kann, which I love to see. The time controls are G90 with an increment of 30. So 90 minutes each, 30 seconds per move. So anyway, he went c6. I love I used to play a lot of the Caro-Kann, so I know the Caro-Kann really well, so I was super excited, and I play the fantasy version, which most people haven't seen. So he went right into this move, and I played the fantasy, and he was already, he was just stumped. He didn't know what to do. He was very confused. Unfortunately, I made a few errors too, and we will go over them. He immediately played this move, which is it is a book move, but not because it's a good move. It's really not a great move. But so I play my knight to c3 like usual, and he plays this move, which is very strange. It was clear that he was super uncomfortable. Usually at this point, he would have pushed this pawn and had a place to develop his knight properly, and it felt like he was trying to develop the same knight that he's used to developing, but didn't quite know how to do it. And I went bishop f4, which is a big mistake. I threw away the whole advantage I had, the 0.3 advantage. I know that in the Caro-Kann fantasy version, I'm supposed to go bishop e3. I do know that, but for whatever reason, I felt like he's really weak right now. I should just capitalize on it. This is a huge mistake. I was thinking maybe he would not know what to do, and he would see this, and he would push, and then he would realize he couldn't take back. I was preventing him from pushing this. Ultimately, that's just a dumb idea. I did the wrong thing, and I lost my advantage. So then he went to, I guess the good thing that happened out of this was, he couldn't develop his bishop the way he wanted. He would want to develop his bishop typically. It's not good enough to justify it. He still didn't have to play this move. This is a terrible move, but he did. So this caused him to play this move because he felt like he had to fianchetto his bishop. I brought this bishop out. Again, this is not really the best move for me to make right now. It's not terrible, but the computer really wants me to bring my queen onto the dark squares, and you'll see that basically every turn for the next 3 turns, it looks like he wants to, the computer wants me to be on the dark squares. My opening looks like a lot like the Black Mardimer setup. His is like a semi-Slav. What has been played often with white here is knight h3 and knight f2. Correct. This is true. But it's not really a Black Mardimer. It's similar to a Black Mardimer, it's just different. But this would have put me in an interesting position, right? Where I would have been able to come up and I could threaten his queen. Like, there's just not a whole lot of things he can do. Like, it would just be taking advantage of his dark square weaknesses. But instead of that, we played bishop d3. And I was at this point just kind of thinking, okay, let's just be solid, but it wasn't the right way of thinking. When he went here, I kind of realized the number of errors of my ways, right? Because of the fact that I didn't have this bishop where it was supposed to be, and I had this bishop in the way, he was now threatening this pawn and this pawn, which felt really bad. I was frustrated with it. I knew it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but after thinking about it for a while, I was like, this is kind of a poison pawn. I really want to protect this pawn, so I moved this knight e2, which was the best move, and I'm happy about it. It maintained a 0.7 advantage, and I was feeling okay. He then finally decided to fianchetto his bishop, and I was just looking at it thinking, you know, he's really going after this pawn. I really don't want him to take this pawn. And this was a super idiotic idea. Like, I mean, just completely fucking foolish. And I realized this because, honestly, I want him to take this. If he does take this, if I, you know, do any other move, like go like this, like the computer wants me to do, as I said it would, and he takes here, for example, like, this is fantastic. We just take this bishop back, and, like, he has his light squares his dark squares are fucking terrible. I think it might even want me to just, not even worry about it and just play this first, right? Because now he has to get off of the, off of this line entirely, which is just hysterical. So, anyway. That being said, I kind of was like, no, I don't want him to do that, and I pushed this pawn. Again, not the smartest, not the smartest dude in the tool shed or whatever the fuck the term is. He went there, and I castled. I guess it wasn't a terrible move, but it wanted me to play this move, which I did think about playing. For a lot of different reasons, because it potentially sets up a trap for the queen. You know, if he doesn't get out, he's kind of in trouble. Even if he does go back, we have this move, right? Or something like that. Something that I looked over. Anyway, I castled. It wasn't the worst idea. He went back. I went back here. I'm not really sure why I went back here. Oh, I remember why I went back here. Because I wanted to go and bring my knight to c4, or a4, which I did. And it was not a bad move, so I was happy with that. He moved back. I moved here. He went here. And it says I did this in the wrong order. So I went like this, and it doesn't like that. Which is funny, because what I ended up doing ended up the same. I guess it's not funny. I mean, it is the way it is. The computer wants me to play this first. And then when he moves, then play this. So it's all a threat, basically. So it's more forced. Either way. We got into the same position. One way or the other, we ended up there. And this was starting to feel really good for me. He was having a hard time, like he couldn't really get off this line, because then if he castles, I take his knight for free. He couldn't really do anything with his knight, or he couldn't do anything here at all. I played this move because my thought was I wanted to prevent him pushing, right? My thought was if he pushes and I take, and if he takes here, like we're totally fine. At that point, I was going to move, but I understand why the computer would want me to go here first. Either way, it wasn't the worst move. So he came here to try and get rid of my bishop, and I took his bishop, which is a great move. I was really happy with it. he took back with the wrong piece. And here I'm just thinking, like, I am winning. Like, I thought it was, like, +2 for me. Apparently it wasn't. But he was also sitting there shaking his head. And he's like, ugh, ugh. Yeah, so I knew that I wanted to go here. These are my candidate moves, going here and going here. This is a miss. For obvious reasons, but what I was really thinking was this prevents him from going here and taking or doing any of these shenanigans. Like, I just wanted to put him in an awkward situation with his queen, and he was kind of stuck, and now he was never castling, and it felt kind of good. When he made this move, it felt like it just made the situation worse, and I should have taken. I don't know why I didn't take. But I didn't. It would have been fantastic to take, but I have a problem with not taking pawns, and this has happened a couple of times in my games that I've noticed. But this isn't the worst idea ever, because the thought process was, if he takes, I take back. So it's not a bad move. It's still good. It's just not the best. He takes, I take back. And then here goes the trade, so I take. No, the computer just wanted me to, go here, and I don't fully understand. I get that it wants me to come here and like replace this with this, but my thought was I had to get rid of the bishop first. So eventually I do make this move, but now it wants me to do something slightly else. But this is really like, we're kind of nitpicking hairs here. At this point, he moves his queen over. And the computer here wants me to just check, right? And I understand why. And I didn't. I went here to threaten his queen. And my thought was, I'm going to threaten his queen, and then I'm going to come here. And then after he moved here, I thought, you know what? Something I expected him to move there. When he moved here, I didn't really want to move and then like have the exchange sacrifice. I know that that's good for me, but I didn't really want to do it because I was thinking if I move and there's an exchange sack, like right now his bishop is totally locked up. Can't go anywhere. If I lose this pawn, he's going to like free this bishop, right? He can move this here and like start moving his pawns and get his bishop out. And like, this game is a game again. So I came back. I just kind of like second guess myself, even though I really should have just done it. Now I checked and it was kind of weird. He went here and I went here, which is just felt like I was doing the right thing here. He brought this down and it was clear that he wanted to try and trade off my queens. He really didn't like my queen being up here, so I brought my knight back over, and this is apparently a really bad move. The computer wanted me not to do this for obvious reasons. The computer wanted me to push on the A side, or on push the A pawn on the queen side. I would never have thought to do this. Being totally honest, it wouldn't have crossed through my mind. So I don't feel bad for not finding it. Now that he was here, the correct move seemed for sure to move here, and for some reason I just didn't do it. Now I started moving my rook, which still, again, we're not talking about bad moves here. So I don't want to get hung up on the idea that this was like a bad move. But now I push my rook. And this is, I put my rook on g3. He goes here, right? And we go h3. Now the correct move here, for a lot of reasons, is to trade. I understand the reasoning behind it. If you trade and he takes, wait, hold on. Isn't it to trade? I thought it was. No, it's queen f6. Wow, the correct move is this. Wild. I thought that I looked at it and it was to trade. Okay, so trading is pretty good. Moving my queen here is pretty good. I feel like even moving my knight here is pretty good, to be honest. There's a lot of good moves I had. I chose a bad one. My thinking was that I really didn't want to trade my rook, and I was thinking that in the future I might bring my other rook over just to add more pressure. He went here, and at this point, we did this. And I really thought, this is fine, because if he trades, then, we've got our rook in the game. We're in a good position. I'm super loving it. I'm feeling really good. And, my thought at the time was, if I get my rook here, right, he has to defend this pawn somewhere, so he might go like something like this. I can go here and threaten it. Then he's got to go like, I don't know, who knows, over here, and I can bring my knight in now. And now I'm threatening this pawn, but not only am I threatening that pawn, he can't exchange anymore, because now I just get my queen, or my rook like in the game, and it's over, right? I bring my other rook in, and this game is done. And now this is like the first time I have a true advantage. So he takes, I take, and I'm feeling really good. And then I thought for a minute and said, you know what? Why don't we get rid of this bishop? And this was like just such a dumb thought, because I've already gone through the thought experiment of saying this bishop is trapped. This is a bad bishop. I'm basically playing with him being a piece down. So why would I trade my good knight for this fucking awful bishop? Makes no sense. Like, yes, I win a pawn, but is the pawn worth? Like, no, definitely not. I think this is the best move. I'm pretty sure. No, it still isn't even the best move. It still wants me to, what does it want me to do? It still wants me to push my A pawn a little bit. And I get that. We're defending over here. But I think if we look at this, 0.4 versus here. Actually, you know what? We made a better move than what I was planning on. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. Who knows? I guess I'm losing if I didn't do that. So cool. I guess I'm not that unhappy with it. I was unhappy with it at the moment because I did it and then it felt really dumb. It felt like if I just get my rook in here, he'll never get, or my knight in here, he'll never get his bishop out. So anyway, he doubles rooks. I lift up my rook. It wants me to just play g3. He plays here. I don't want to trade because I don't want to connect his pawns. So I push. He tries to do it again. I push up there, and then I say, okay, yeah, we'll trade. All the way back there, though. Now I start playing pretty accurately, fairly accurately, not great. He comes here. And I suddenly start thinking, like, this is going to be a really tough game. I think it's actually like a table-based draw, realistically. Now, this was a bad move and gave him an opportunity. But once we went here, I think it just, in a second, it goes back to a draw. I came here, he had a 0.5 advantage, 0.3 advantage. I still don't know if it's not a draw, to be honest. And once I do this, it goes back to being a draw. There really wasn't much anybody could do about it. He came here, that was fine. He can't push his pawn. I went to block this, and then, or to defend it, because he can't push this pawn or I take. And when he brought his king in, I thought, you know what I need to do? I need to get over here, because what I need to do is get rid of some of these pawns, so I can make sure it's a draw, so I don't lose. So I did. So I checked, it was the best move. He went down, I went over here. It wants me to like go over further, I think, or to like right here, basically. But I thought this worked out really well. He took here, and his idea was that if I came here, he would be able to come here. Or no, if I came here, he would be able to do this and defend everything at once. And I came up with a really good thought at this point, which was if I check him and he moves, now he can't move that pawn. So then he came here, and I took, right? Now I trade. At this point, it's just a draw. There's nothing you can do. There was literally no way to do anything. I came up here, he came down, I pushed up, he went up. And we had talked about it kind of jokingly about 4 moves ago. About here. Actually, here we had said, this is just a draw, right? And we said, yeah. And I said, let's just play it out. And he said, yeah, let's play it out because I'm really not sure. So we just played it. And when he got here, we kind of just laughed and we were like, all right, we played it. That was fun. So we drew, and that was okay. You know, it was a good game. I missed some opportunities there, particularly with getting my knight into position properly. I was kind of like back and forth my knight for no reason. I didn't check when I was supposed to check, and I didn't fully take advantage of all the dark square weaknesses that he created. But I learned a lot from that game. And I've also been learning another thing. One of the problems in the other game that I lost, I didn't take a pawn that I should have taken when I had the opportunity to take it. In this game, I didn't take a pawn I was supposed to take when I had the opportunity to take it. In fact, I think in all of my games that I lost or tied, I ended up not taking pawns that would have given me a win. And we'll see that in the next game. But yeah, so this is this game. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you around.